Now listen, the only reason I read this novel is because I wanted to see and compare the differences between the novel and the movie, which I think is a classic. But before I get into it, I just have to say this. I have to mention this. This is my copy of a Interview with the Vampire by Anne Rice. Is brand new. Okay, it's brand new, and when I reached the middle, it just started falling apart. If you can see, the pages are just breaking apart at the middle, and I'm just like, this has never happened to me before with a new book. It's just, it's sad, really. But anyway, there is something that I have to criticize the author for, because if you have watched the movie, there is one major difference between Lestat in the movie and Lestat in the novel. Anne Rice does something in the novel which to me is a bit excessive, which is that Anne Rice gives Lestat a bit too much humanity. Even though he is a sick and twisted and sadistic person, he still has humanity, which, if you have watched the movie, you know that in the movie he's basically a fucking monster, sadistic, and he really doesn't have humanity at all, or barely a bit, right? And what do I mean by this? Well, in the novel, Lestat actually has a father, which has been excluded in the movie. But in the book, he has a father. His father is blind, so his father does not know that Lestat is a vampire. And furthermore, Lestat in the novel is taking care of his crippled father, even though his father was just mean as hell to Lestat when Lestat was a kid. So when Lestat was a human child, his father and as well his brother, they were just being, a bunch of dickheads to Lestat. And even though they just made life incredibly difficult for Lestat, now that he is a vampire, powerful, he is still taking care of his father, which his father was a terrible person. And to me, of course, this is another layer of his character, but to me, it's a bit too much humanity, because in the book, even though Lestat is taking care of his father, he is incredibly annoyed by his father. He can't stand his father. He is disgusted and he hates his father, and he still takes care of him begrudgingly. And I guess this is Stockholm Syndrome, perhaps. Okay, so to me, this is a bit too much humanity for Lestat. In the movie, of course, in the movie, Lestat is almost this creature, this just, I don't even know how to describe him in the movie. In the movie, he is just this monster. Okay, uh, but I have to attack this subject head on, because let me tell you. Okay, I'm just gonna say it how it is. My boy Louis. Listen, I love Louis. Okay, I understand him. He is dear to my heart. Louis, of course, embodies the romantic person that just struggles with himself, with the world, with other people. He just doesn't understand himself. He doesn't understand others. He doesn't understand the world, life, existence, yada yada. And as Armand describes him, Lestat represents the era that they're living in, which is that everybody is alienated, not only from themselves, but from everything else, right? And I sympathize because maybe you sympathize as well, because we've all been there. We all have had these, what you might call them, insecurities, this anxiety, this constant just fretting. This is, of course, the epitome of who Louis is as a character and as a person. He is just the definition of anxiety and just being troubled and being bothered and all of this all of these existential questions. And oh boy, he is just ridden with anxiety. And of course, we can all relate to this type of state, mental state, emotional state, even spiritual state. We've all been there, especially when we were younger. But this is the problem. Even though Louis is just so dear to my heart, after about 200 pages, I'm just like, I'm getting a bit irritated and annoyed by Louis. And as I kept reading, I was kinda leaning towards Lestat, right? Because if you've seen the movie, you know that Lestat is kind of like, bro, this Louis guy, he keeps whining and whining and bitching around and moping and complaining. And after a while, I was kind of like, yeah, that is kind of true, right? This is the problem with Louis. Even though I relate and sympathize, and I really like the character. I think he is incredibly well written. Anne Rice really did a great job. But after a while, I'm just like, bro, I'm getting tired of Louis complaining and whining and moping around and just being down and gloomy all the time and anxiety. And I'm bothered and troubled by, at the end of the day, bothered and troubled by silly, goofy nonsense because you're a goddamn vampire, bro. You're unimmortal. And because you are almost immortal, or thereabouts, all of these questions are irrelevant. Irrelevant at the end of the day, right? And this is what happens. At the beginning, we are a bit repulsed and nauseated by Lestat because he is the embodiment, the definition of a predator, of a vampire. He's just straight up, straightforward. I'm a vampire. I love to kill, and that's it. And I am proud of that, and I love that. No hesitation or no sugarcoating anything. And we are a bit appalled by Lestat at first because he is just this animal and this glutton and this snob, and he is incredibly sadistic. But after a while, something strange happened to me. I was kind of vibing with Lestat a bit, okay? And that happened because Louis was just getting on my nerves a bit with his whining and complaining, being bitch mode constantly. Okay, and I understand the character, but after a while, I was just kind of vibing with Lestat a bit, because you can say whatever you want that Lestat is. First of all, Lestat is illiterate. Okay. Secondly, Lestat is just a snob. He is a parvenu. Lestat, because of certain circumstances, Lestat isn't educated properly. He is a bit of a snob, and the only reason he gravitates towards and covets, wealth, luxury, art, the finest clothes, the most expensive hotels, why he goes to theater, and etc., etc. Why he persists in culture and art and social life is not because he understands and appreciates all of these things in regards to culture, etc., and being elevated, superior, etc., etc. No, it's because others value money, expensive clothes, art, expensive wines, whatever. And because others attribute value to these things, because others want these things, therefore, lestat covets the things that others view as important. Okay, so he doesn't value them based on their qualities in of themselves, is because other people say that, oh, you have to just go to this tailor because the finest clothes, the finest attire, right? It's not because lestat appreciates them in of themselves, right? So I began to lean towards lestat. Okay, after a while, it kind of makes sense why lestat is the way that he is, because what are you gonna do for eternity? Are you just gonna mope and complain and just be a sad boy all the time like Louis? Because at the end of the day, this is what Louis does. He is just a sad boy constantly. Sad boy. And I understand the reason why he is this way is because a part of his humanity survived the vampire transformation, and his human nature is in constant battle with his vampiric nature. And he is a rarity among vampires because he has empathy, he has a conscience. He thinks that what vampires do, killing people and sucking their blood, is evil, even though he needs blood to survive. There's one thing that I don't really like about this novel, which is that the person that is interviewing Louis, in the movie, he is that dude with the glasses, whatever. But in the book, this person that interviews Louis is referred to as the boy. And the boy smokes, and the boy has a car. And I'm a bit confused as to the age of this so-called boy that's interviewing Louis. Is this person referred to as a boy because, Louis is hundreds of years old, or are we dealing with like a 17-year-old? What's going on here, right? And I have to say this, I love the fact that by the end, because of, what happens to Claudia and Madeline, but especially what happens to Claudia, that part, that humanity in Louis dies finally. And Louis, because of this, he becomes something different. He changes. And he changes in a way that is extremely interesting, because now he has lost his humanity, and he is just stone cold, detached, just empty, unfeeling. He refers to himself as being metallic, right? And this change, this complete detachment, even shocks Armand, which, if you paid attention to his introduction, Armand, when he is introduced as a character, he is extremely just stone cold, a statue, just absolutely, you can't read him. He is just absolutely meticulous, precise. There is absolutely no emotion. And yet, by the end, Louis just becomes, he goes from 0 to 10 million real quick. Like, he is just absolutely emotionless. Because of what happened to Claudia, he lost his humanity. And even Armand, who is just stone cold, he's like, bro, you're just built different. And because because Louis is this way, even Armand is like, bro, I gotta bounce out of here, right? And I like this fact, this little detail in the book, which is that, you see, most vampires, they don't last more than a couple of centuries because as it turns out, immortality and being forever young and just living through age after age, epoch after epoch, century after century, it's just too much to bear, too much to endure, right? So most vampires, after 300-400 years, they commit suicide by, stepping out into the sunlight. And I like that. And another reason why most vampires just can't function after a while is that they are stuck in their ways. Mentally, they are stuck in the age when they were turned into vampires. So if a vampire was turned in the 1500s, the 20th century will be absolutely alien to them. Absolutely alien, incomprehensible, right? And because vampires are the textbook definition of just being frozen in time, being just stagnation, just being stuck in a certain type of mentality, in a certain type of whatever, they cannot be, versatile. They cannot diversify. They cannot accustom. That's a really interesting detail. So they, after a while, they kind of choose to commit suicide with a few exceptions. Okay. But I really, really have to discuss this, which is to me the most important thing, the most important difference between the book and the movie. Because in the movie, at the end, Lestat is kind of weak. He is kind of just, he is out of it, okay, at the end. But in the book, after Paris, right, so Louis returns to New Orleans and he reunites, he meets Lestat for one last time. I was absolutely shocked by this, and I really don't understand it. And if you understand it, please tell me in the comments. But in the book, the last part, I mean, even in Paris, when Lestat meets Louis again, Lestat is just this. How am I gonna say it? He is just a wreck. He is a crybaby. He is just crying constantly, just weeping, right? Because listen, because when I read this book, Lestat was always Tom Cruise to me in the movie, right? Louis was always Brad Pitt in the movie, right? So, to me, I don't know why, I just can't imagine Lestat being this weeping crybaby. Just, he always has a handkerchief, and tears, constant tears. I'm just like, what's going on in here? Did I miss something? Please explain to me why Lestat is crying constantly for at least 100 pages. I don't understand this. He cries in Paris and he cries in New Orleans when he reunites with Louis. And I'm just like, what is wrong with this dude? What happened? Did I miss something? Probably it probably is explained in the other novels, but I'm just at a loss here. Because of course in the movie Lestat, bounces back, right? But in the novel, in the last couple of pages, like, Lestat is just a ruin. He is a wreck. He doesn't want to go out. He feeds on critters, on cats. He looks terrible, right? The only thing that I can think of is that when when Claudia killed him and Louis threw him in the swamp, I guess that surviving that must have been traumatizing, because I just can't explain why he is this. I mean, what he is that he is weak mentally, emotionally. He is not the sadistic monster that we meet at the beginning. When I think about Lestat, especially in this book and in the movie, I never think that this guy is gonna be this hunchbacked, like, Igor type of servile just simp, because by the end he is actually simping for Lestat. He begs for Louis. By the end, Lestat is simping for Louis, begging Louis to stay with him, just being desperate as hell, unattractive as hell, right? Just begging, pleading, just being not himself, right? This is what I want to say, and I can't find an explanation as to why this is. This, to me, doesn't make any sense. I cannot find an answer, and I'm just so, even after finishing this novel, I'm just so perplexed and stupefied. Why is Lestat such a whimpering bitch at the end? He is just, he went from a Chad to just a blubbering nitwit. Okay? I mean, he's a dummy by the end. He's just like, even other fledgling vampires are looking at Lestat and they're like, ew, bro, like, take a bath, bro, ew, right? He won't leave the house. He is basically terrified of civilization, technology. He doesn't understand it, like in the movie. He is afraid of sounds. He doesn't understand the world he's living in, which, of course, we arrive at the conclusion yet again that Lestat is the textbook definition of a vampire, which is tragic. He is stuck in his ways. He is frozen in time. He cannot adapt. He cannot accustom. And also, I guess because he loses Louis time and time again, and because Louis won't go back to him, and I guess because he is in love with Louis, I guess he is just destroyed on the inside. He is done. Like, you don't understand. He just degrades. He just falls in a downward spiral, and he becomes a shell, a hollow shell of himself. He dead ass becomes a simping Igor, just servile, just begging Louis to stay with him. I don't understand why he keeps on crying, right? Claudia kills him. Louis throws him in the swamp. Somehow, Lestat survives that. And he looks terrible. He looks like a mummy, like a zombie. But he survives. And then he comes back, and Louis sets him on fire. And somehow he survives even that, right? And then finally he wants revenge, and he comes all the way to Paris. And Louis immediately believes that Lestat just wants revenge. But the moment they meet once again in Paris, after allegedly being killed twice, Lestat starts crying. Okay? And then, when he reunites again with Louis in New Orleans at the end of the novel, like, Lestat cries even more. And I'm just like, what happened? Am I missing something? Did something happen? Did something happen off screen? What happened to Lestat, folks? And listen, I understand that he comes back in the other novels, and I guess rock music just invigorates him, but you cannot tell me that you were not shocked as I were while reading this. What happens to Lestat in this book by the end is just, hey, yo! I simply cannot wrap my head around it. He just goes from this psychopathic, sadistic monster who just enjoys killing and manipulating and torturing and just being this psychopath to he becomes this weeping, whimpering, bitch-made crybaby by the end. And you can offer the excuse, well, he went through a lot of stuff. You know, he was assassinated twice. He had to survive a lot of things, a lot of pain. His dignity was insulted because he had to, I don't know, eat rats or whatever. It injured his mental health, perhaps, right? And to add another thing, he was abandoned by Louis again and again and again. And even at the end, while he is begging Louis to stay, Louis abandons him again. And I guess perhaps this is too much. I think perhaps that I overestimated Lestat, but I'm basing my assessment only on this novel. I haven't read all of the other Vampire Chronicles in which he comes back and he becomes a god and, the Queen of the Damned and etc., right? It's just, if you have the details, if you have read more than this book, please tell me in the comment section why Lestat degenerates to this crybaby at the end. Maybe I wasn't paying attention. Maybe I was zoning out, daydreaming. I just don't understand it. But it sure as hell just caught me off guard, because to me, Lestat's atrocious transformation into a crybaby just comes out of nowhere, to me, in my view, okay? But that's about it. If you enjoy this content, if you want to support your boy, I got a few books on Amazon. The link will be down below. If the link does not work, you can search my name, Griffith Samsara. Thanks for watching. Keep on reading good books. See ya.